All right, welcome everyone to this week's episode of the Pit Therapy Podcast. I'm Kyle, and we've got Chris with us, and then a couple special guests in Matt and Drew from the Richmond hardcore band Contact. So appreciate you guys jumping on.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
So
We're excited to talk to you guys.
anytime, yeah. We have gone back and forth for a little bit. To get you guys on. So I'm glad that we actually, I don't know what that's doing. Can you guys see the timer? Or is that just
the timer?
You
The
know how
timer's
fun.
running,
I
bro.
didn't even
Yeah,
press
how
it.
fun is that?
How do I get that off? Turn reset.
Stressful. At least it's not going down.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. You guys have exactly 3 minutes to talk and then we're done. All right. Anyway, sorry about that. But I am glad that we were able to finally get you guys on. So we are big fans of Richmond hardcore in general.
Yeah, you got your heavy as the head shirt
I
on.
got my heavy as the head shirt on.
You ready to roll?
I was messaging Kendall before just to ask if he had any funny stories or stuff to talk to you guys about. And he said, make sure to wear your heavy as the head shirt. So I said, all right, I'll do it.
Kendall found some way to plug himself, even though you were asking for ways to embarrass us.
He did want me to ask what it's like sharing a practice space with him.
Pretty great. They're super clean and organized. It's the least metal thing. They're neither punk nor are they metal. There's like always bottled water. I feel like the record or the practice space is owned by like a record label.
Yeah, it's like flying first class.
Yeah,
but for your thing, like it's always like there's like warm towels when we come in there.
Yes.
Yeah,
Love that.
yeah. And Kendall's an electrician, so the whole thing is like rigged up properly.
My gosh.
Yeah, there's times when I'm like, could I sleep here? Like, could I just chill here?
Sounds perfect.
So is this like a professional, like a professional practice space, or is it just like a place you guys have turned into it?
Storage unit.
It's a storage unit. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you guys messy?
Are we? I think we're a little messy.
I don't know. I think so. I don't think we're messy.
You clean your stuff up. I don't know. I feel like I went in there the other day to get something, and there were like the backs of stickers, like the little white thing that goes in the back of a sticker everywhere. And I realized I had left them, and I was like, that's a messy ass thing to do.
That's like the tamest thing though to be.
Yeah, I was just thinking
about,
like the backs of stickers. That's nothing but
yeah. So is it like a storage unit, like people like a facility with storage units and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And people walking around just like getting into their storage units while you guys are playing?
Well, there's other bands there too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
okay.
I mean, granted, like it's mixed. There's some metal bands and there's like an REM cover band. Like, I don't know. They're always praying we're not there.
Yeah. There's an unbelievable black metal band.
That's right.
I always like when they're practicing. I always kind of want to just stop practicing and listen to them.
Yes.
That's cool. That's cool. I just was picturing like what's that TV show off of like History Channel, like Storage Hunters?
Yeah, Storage Wars.
Storage Wars. They're like, dude,
and
that
they open up and you guys are in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's definitely some of that going on. You drive up there, like there's some very strange vehicles in that area, and also some really weird nature noises. There's like a retention pond behind it, and the amount of times we've been spooked by like strange frog-like sounds that don't seem to be coming from frogs, or like an owl will swoop real close.
It's a gigantic owl.
Giant owl. It's a very
it's sick unless you're there by yourself dropping your equipment.
Yeah, when you're there by yourself, it feels like a True Detective set piece.
Yes. Al said hey instead of who.
Yeah.
What?
Owl with a human face.
That's creepy. All right. Anyways, where do we go from here? Yeah.
You were expecting Kendall to give you content, but all he did was self-promote and then set us up for a question that he knew would lead to us complimenting his cleanliness in the practice space.
Yeah, that's funny. Kendall's a good dude. And honestly, like all the bands we've talked to from Richmond, even just some of them in passing, you and Heavy as a Head are the only ones we've had on the pod, but seems like you guys got a really cool thing going on over there. So
Yeah, it's a legacy scene at this point. It was one of those. It's a very old hardcore scene.
That's awesome.
so I take it then you guys have did you grow up into that? Was it easier to get into it? Because we're both from Salt Lake City, and so like
Mm.
there's a legacy there too, but it's more infamous than it is famous. And so
You guys must have had a good conversation with Dan then,
we
because
did.
he's a Salt Lake guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Nice.
he's got stories that, we hadn't heard, but we weren't surprised of, and, a lot of that. So
Yeah.
good times. But yeah, so did you two like come up into the Virginia scene and how was that?
Well, Matt, do you want me to go?
Yeah, you're
Matt's
the
a Florida.
Virginia boy.
Matt's a Florida guy, so he's
Okay.
got
Oh,
separate.
okay.
Yeah. Sadly, I grew up in Florida. We can talk about that, but Drew
Yeah,
actually grew up around Richmond.
I did. I grew up in Richmond. Started going to like punk hardcore shows when I was like 15, 16. So I remember getting dropped off at a Poison the Well show at Alley Cats. This was very early on, and something happened, and the guitarist did something, and then I watched some crazy stuff happen, like the amp got ripped off the stage. I don't know. I don't remember what happened. It was something
The,
crazy.
the story I heard was the guitarist, a kid was trying to stage dive, and the guitarist like kicked him in the butt, and Richmond decided that that was not going to fly.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So the amp
Yeah.
got thrown into the alley, and of course my mom like picks me up because I can't drive at this point, and she's like, "How was the show?" And I was like, "Amazing! I can't wait to get back." Didn't mention anything of the uh, street violence I just witnessed. Yeah, so grew up like going to just punk shit, and I really got into like more like pop punk and the movie life and
Nice.
uh, bands like that kind of segued me into hardcore. So I started going to hardcore shows sort of later in high school, and saw some legacy Richmond bands like Strike Anywhere and
Sick.
Down to Nothing. Cast Aside, who just played at United Blood. Man, just so many bands. Iron Boots from Virginia Beach was one. Murder Weapon, who
Oh man.
was like a huge thing. Brace War, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, just seeing like all these Richmond bands, and of course, people would come through Richmond because of that. So I would see bands like Mental and Righteous Jams, and like all these Boston hardcore bands. Have Heart, I saw at like a warehouse in the south side of Richmond.
Wild.
Yeah, I mean, just what was Sinking Ships. Gosh, so many bands that came through. And then we had like a cool punk scene too. Like we had a Veil, we had Strike Anywhere, and
Yeah.
all that kind of married together. So it was just a really rich place to get into hardcore and punk, and um, just solidified a lot of, I don't know, just deeply held love and belief
Yeah.
for me. So it was pretty like a love at first sight type of thing, like infatuation, and what better place than Richmond to have that. So
Yeah.
and I met Matt through he came up here, and I met him through kind of like punk and hardcore and things as well. But he's got a very different Florida story because he's a Florida boy.
Is that really how you met me, Drew?
Well, let's put it this way. I was going to like something that isn't how I met you, but we kind of our faces our fates came together through hardcore and punk and interest because Matt was my young life leader when I was in high school. But he's not that much older than me. And
Well, that's how young life works. That's how youth ministry works. You're
yes.
led by somebody who's like 2 years older than you because they graduated high school. I was
The
Drew's camp
funniest story
counselor.
is though is
Nice.
that Matt, when I met Matt, and he was kind of in hardcore, and I was in like pop punk, so I kind of got introduced to some hardcore and stuff. And when I was younger, through him and through another guy, and he told me one time. This is a story that is pretty funny. He told me one time that he got chocolates from Gorilla Crew, which was like our big crew in Richmond, from Down to Nothing from Europe, and was going to give me one. And it was like a laxative. Like he like just gave to like me as like 15.
Oh my gosh.
I like
Yeah.
quit it. I like ate it. I like ate like three of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was my young life leader, you know. So he also was beat up somebody like some kids and stuff. I don't know. Matt was like,
It was the world's. It's funny because I was
Matt
like,
was my young life leader.
I was the
Yeah,
world's worst young life leader.
That's wild.
Because it depends on who you ask, you know.
Yeah. I mean, that was I didn't. There was no sexually inappropriate behavior beyond that. I taught Drew how to gamble.
Yeah.
We definitely
Talk about
fought. We definitely fought some high school redneck kids in a parking lot one time.
Hell yeah.
Were
I
you
mean, it's
there?
just-
You were there, right, Drew? Were you in that fight? Yeah.
Yeah, I was there, and like, it's crazy. Like, I remember I was just telling somebody this the other day. I broke up with my high school girlfriend. I remember this. Went downtown to Richmond. I think we went to like a show. Came back to a random house on Marshall Street, and I lost $100 in a bathroom playing dice against Matt. So
That was a really good influence. Yeah, I was like, how do I get? I was talking to the other hardcore dude that was like my age, and I was like, how do we get them to eat these laxatives? It was like him and the other high school kids, and he's like, I don't know. Tell him like we got them from Dave because we were passingly familiar with some of the guys from DT, or I think my friend had just been on tour with them. His band had opened for them on tour, whatever. It was enough of a story that like we could sell it to these kids that you know, there was some weird connection to make them eat the chocolate.
these kids.
Yeah, these kids. And yeah, they ate it, and it was bad news after that.
You get the bubble guts and stuff
Yeah.
real bad, like
Yeah, man. And the thing was, it was like right before we left this camp we were at. So it was like a 3-hour bus ride.
Oh no.
It was like the worst possible situation.
I
Like,
will
my mom,
say
are you okay?
this was not unprompted. They were messing with us all week, not letting
sure.
us sleep, doing the
Okay,
things that high school
see,
kids
there
do
it
to
is.
their camp counselors.
Yeah.
I just you don't have to explain a lot of that to me and Chris. We grew up in very similar situations with with this kind of stuff. Church,
Yep.
scout
camp.
camps, you know,
Yep.
all
Exactly.
we know.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah,
you guys get it.
We know the business.
So yeah, I grew up in Daytona Beach, Florida, right outside of Daytona Beach, Florida. But that, you know, the hardcore shows were in Daytona proper. And I'm a little bit. Drew just turned 38. I'm 41. And so I started going to shows in middle school, so 98, 97 or 98. And did that I moved to Richmond when I was 19, like the last few weeks of my 19th year, and then turned 20. I think, turned 20 the summer I moved to Richmond. And how did I get to Richmond? So I was playing in a band. I dropped out of high school my senior year to be in like a metalcore band and tour, and we didn't end up actually touring that much. We mostly just joined the other hardcore kids to make trouble. Probably maybe not quite as violent as Salt Lake City, but the same intentions. To just make trouble full time. To be like, I feel like we saw Fight Club a little too early, and it was like, this is our life. This is what we're gonna do. We're just gonna make trouble. And did that, and so was playing in a band, and then you know, the metalcore thing kind of got. I feel like we started that band, which was called Every Waking Moment, that nobody has ever heard of. And it was like a Poison the Well pastiche, actually, now that I think about it. And everyone started to get tired. As metalcore became the new thing, everybody started to get pretty tired of it pretty quick. So we started another band called Total Recall, which was like a Kid Dynamite sort of, actually wanted to sound like Strike Anywhere. And ended up touring with, so DTN and a band at the time called The Emergency, who was also from Richmond, played Daytona. I was roommates at the time because he had moved to Daytona to go to school, I think, with a guy named Mike, who was in a band called Revenge Therapy. And he's now in that band I Am the Avalanche, which is the Vinny
Wow.
from so the drummer from that band I grew up with. He's a Daytona guy, Brett. And then Mike, I was roommates with for a very brief time. When I say roommates, I mean he had a room and I lived on the couch, but and so Mike is from Virginia Beach. He was friends with all the DTN guys. And so we all hung out for the few days that they were there. I made friends with the Emergency, who was touring with them. And then the next time the Emergency went on tour, they were looking for somebody to tour with. And they asked my band at the time, Total Recall, to go with them. While we were on that tour, I went to Richmond for the first time, and I was like, I like it here. This rocks. All the Emergency guys lived in an apartment right next door to what was then the Nancy Ray Gun, but it's kind of the like CBGBs of Richmond. Like people,
Cool.
It was called Twisters for a time. People, have memories going back to the early 90s. Like, oh, it's all so-and-so at Twisters.
Yeah.
And so I was like, hold on. So you guys just live right next door to the venue. There's like a vegetarian, all you can eat Chinese buffet in between. You can walk to the 7-Eleven. The college campus is right. This is like, I felt like it was like the scene in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles where you go to like the Foot Clan lair, but the kids are all like skateboarding and playing arcade games and stuff. I was like, this is unbelievable. This is not reality. So I moved up. As soon as we got back to Florida, I had a breakup with a girl, hopped on a Greyhound bus, went to Richmond to live with the Emergency guys.
Wow.
And the rest was history.
That's awesome.
And met Drew very soon after that. He was still in high school, but I got one of those guys was a Young Life leader, and so I kind of did that with him and met Drew, and we've been friends ever since. I would say youth ministry was how we met, but hardcore is why we're still friends. And he's not just I'm not just some weird old guy in his.
I love that. So, not to reveal anyone's ages, but like, how long ago would you say it is that you guys met?
I mean, I'm 41.
I would have been what? Yeah.
20 years ago.
Yeah, that'd be 20 years. I was sitting there thinking, I was like, man, I wish, sometimes I'm like, I wish I had like a lifelong friend like I see these guys. And I'm like, wait a minute. I kind of have known Matt more than half my life. And so
I mean, you've known Kendall longer than you've known
Kendall
me.
since I was like in middle school.
Wow, that's cool.
And Kendall watched me get beat up for wearing like an Atticus t-shirt when I was in like 6th grade. So
way to step in, Kendall.
Yeah, thanks for protecting me, buddy.
He owes you one. That's why we made him mosh at the show the other day. We shamed Kendall into moshing at our show on Monday.
Nice.
So I guess we've known each other for 20 years. That's
so cool. Good for you guys.
Yeah. Well, you guys have been friends for a long time too, it sounds like that. Right?
So me and Trevor, who's the other guy that usually hosts this with me and him have been friends since, I don't know, 4th grade, 5th grade, like elementary school. Chris is a couple years younger than me and Trevor, but lived, Chris, 4 houses down or something like that from Trevor. And I didn't know Chris in high school at all or growing up, because he was just a couple, like when you're like 15 or whatever, a 13-year-old feels young, right? Like you're like, I want to hang out with a 13-year-old. So, but what's funny is Chris has said that like he knew about us in high school and was like, oh, I thought you guys were the coolest because you knew all the music. And
they were the coolest.
You might be the only person that's ever said that. So yeah.
Hey, we'll take it.
Did they give you laxative chocolates, Chris? Is that what happened?
We're about to do that. We've been trying to figure that out.
Great ideas.
Yeah, Kyle's just like making notes as fast as he can.
Yeah, I really am. Like, how am I gonna do this? So that's tight. So Richmond feels like a really cool scene. It's not the biggest city, is it?
No,
not like Mid-Atlantic. I mean, I'm trying to think of I think Baltimore is even bigger than Richmond, to be honest, like in size. Yeah.
Yeah. And Richmond's very insular. Like Richmond is the smallest capital. Like if you're a certain age, if you've been around for a certain amount of time, you feel like you know everyone, to the point that sometimes it gets a little claustrophobic. Yeah. Like you be bumping into everybody everywhere. It's definitely a bigger city than Daytona, where I grew up, but that even feels more anonymous than Richmond. Richmond, it's like everybody. It has a big small town vibe
Yeah.
for sure.
Okay.
Does that play into, because it seems like, I mean, if you look at like per capita of bands that you guys have churned out, it's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Because like
Yeah.
DC's not that far, like yeah, Baltimore's not that far. Like you've got these big hubs next to you, but like Richmond has fire. Like what do you think? Like what do you think
Mm.
attributed to that? Because like Salt Lake City feels similar in
Mhm.
my opinion, right? We're kind of detached from a lot of stuff. Um, we have our own little bubble.
Yeah.
The difference though is I don't feel like a lot of Salt Lake bands ever made it like we're not talking about a Salt Lake band like we're talking about Strike Anywhere or Down to Nothing
Right.
Yeah.
or
I
Municipal
will say
Waste, right?
Forever War though, Forever War,
Forever War
like
is sick, and
Yeah.
they're
is
playing
sick.
tons of big
And
shows.
Yeah.
that's the kind of stuff that puts Salt Lake City on the map. I mean,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
like that kind of record, I've listened to that record a ton since it came out, and not just because to put the plug in for the label but it's just solid music.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
stuff's awesome.
Yeah.
And that's a
Absolutely.
real
Yeah.
compliment from Drew, because Drew's not a metal guy. Like if metalcore gets through to Drew, it's good because
Yeah.
it's not his go-to thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Because I guess, like I'm not saying, yeah, like, from Salt Lake, I don't want to get hate from these guys. Like, there's been good bands in Salt Lake, right? Like, we grew up with incredible bands in Salt Lake, but like, I just never really heard of like, maybe I'm putting my foot in my mouth, but like, I never really heard of these like Salt Lake bands that got huge, right?
yeah.
That makes me curious. Like, who was your Avail? Like, who was the band that who was the Johnny Appleseed?
So like my generation, like when I was growing up, like I had an affinity for like Aftermath of a Train Wreck. Like that was a
Okay.
band that like
Okay.
huge Salt Lake band. Everyone knows them. You have like stuff like Clear, Cherim. Those
Clear,
are,
I've heard of.
yeah, those are like solid Salt Lake bands, like
Yeah.
define the scene for us, especially in Salt Lake. I guess I have like a curiosity in though, like why a similar sized place like Richmond would have these like global
Yeah.
bands that everyone knows about, like Strike Anywhere, you know what I mean? Or Down to Nothing.
Yeah. I have a theory, but Drew, do you have a theory?
I mean, I think my theory is from podcasts I've listened to with like Thomas on them, like from Strike Anywhere, and just it's those guys grinded. I mean, like grinded in a way that I don't even know that we like posting something once in a while feels like a grind sometimes, but like these guys were like hitting people up on phone, the phone.
Yeah.
They kept like notebooks of places to call and go. Like,
Yeah.
I think they just like created a network beyond the internet that dug very deep and was very authentic, and people were able to latch onto that. I mean, I remember like early on, Strike Anywhere was like huge in like Brazil
Yeah.
and stuff. I was like,
Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
well, how do you how do you get huge in Brazil before the internet? Like like in my head, like, but just like creating like kind of grassroots and stuff like that created legacy for bands now and bands to follow them. That's my theory. But Matt, what is that similar to yours or not?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I would not undercut the hard work. I mean, if you listen to if you listen to Tim from Avail talk, like they were literally just like homeless like people who had to fight Nazis like 6 nights a week just to like play a show and make enough money to get to the next town. Like they were grind. There's a lot of grind for sure. But I think a lot of bands grind, especially back then in the 80s and the 90s.
Yeah.
Richmond, what my understanding of the sort of anthropology here was that Richmond was kind of the first Southern, and sometimes for a long time, the only Southern stop from Boston and New York.
Okay.
So it's some of it is kind of proximity to Genesis, right? So like I had a Latin teacher when I was at VCU who was an older guy. He was old. He was an old man. And he used to own a bar. And he would like tell stories about like, oh yeah, I remember when Black Flag played my bar. Like I remember when Youth of Today played the Flood Zone. The guy, my spiritual director, which is kind of like a therapist a little bit, we knew each other for years before one time he was like, "Are you straight edge?" I'm like, "Yeah, how do you know what straight edge is?" He's like, "Oh, I used to be in a straight edge band." I was like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, we opened for Better Than 1,000. Do you know who that is?" And I'm like, "What? Do you know who?" He's like, "Yeah, I was like in the," and he started naming his crew and all this stuff, and I was like,
That's
"What?"
wild.
And DC. I mean, like,
Yeah.
first Southern stop from DC for sure, or closest major city, Baltimore and Richmond, from all the Discord stuff, all the Minor Threat stuff. But really the first, like, when you ask a hardcore punk dude from the 80s, like an OG, what was the furthest south you ever went? They were like, I don't know, Richmond.
Richmond.
They weren't
Mhm.
going down, not yet. They weren't going down to Charlotte, North
Right.
Carolina, or like
Yeah.
or Daytona or Jacksonville, Florida,
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I think that there's that. There's a deep history. Well, we are standing on the shoulders of giants 100%.
Yeah.
And also there's Guar.
No, I didn't know.
Oh,
Guar
hell
was in
yeah.
Richmond.
I mean, yeah,
Hell
Guar,
yeah.
Beavis and Butthead's favorite band is not
Yeah.
just from Richmond, they are Richmond. Like, you bump into
Yeah.
those dudes regularly.
We have a bar that is called Gore Bar.
Are you serious?
Yeah, that's
In-
owned by those guys.
They serve
owned by the
animal
guys.
blood and stuff. It's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
when I used to be in advertising, the amount of times I would accidentally have like meetings with a member of Guar,
That's crazy.
all the time. And I would just be sitting, and they're the most normal, nice, whatever,
sure.
Yeah.
gracious, normal, geeky guys.
Yeah.
But I would just be sitting there and be like, I played the Beavis and Butthead Sega Genesis game, and the whole point of it was to get tickets to your show. Like, just
Oh,
in
that's
my head,
great.
I'm like, I can't believe I'm sitting here with, whoever, whatever
Yeah.
character it was. So I think they obviously always existed in more of the like Ozfest, Beavis and Butthead,
Sure.
shock rock, but those dudes were punks and
Yeah.
are punks. Like, they were
100%.
like, their other band, the Ex Cops, is a hardcore band.
Mhm.
They're and I think they pumped a lot of good energy into everything from what would become, Avail, to Lamb of God, to just making Richmond a place to have an underground, scene of extreme music, which hardcore used to be.
Yeah.
What a world we live in where you can credit Guar to that.
I know.
Seriously, that's
Yeah,
so cool.
There's a line. There's a line to draw there
Yeah.
Yeah.
for sure.
That's
That's
so
crazy.
cool.
Yeah. And there's no, like, Richmond is also probably my favorite thing about it, is there really are no lines as far as like if you're in New York, and I don't know, like, you might bump into Vinny Stigma or one of those guys, but people kind of know, like, oh, that's the guy.
Right.
Like, in Richmond, like, Drew knows I love to tell the story of the strangest moment of my life was standing in like 120-year-old ballroom watching my daughter do cotillion, which is like a Southern thing where they like learn manners and they're like dancing. And I'm standing there with Tim Barry because his daughter's doing it too. They're the same age. And Tim just leans over to me and he's like, "This is the first time I've ever wore a suit." It's just like, "Did you wear a suit to your wedding, man?" He's like, "No, man, I didn't even wear a suit to my wedding." And we're just like talking shit, like standing there in this weird, because we're the only two dudes that don't fit in, even though in my mind, I'm like, that's Tim Barry. He's like, "Yeah, this is a punk. I'll talk to him because I'm not going to talk to the like finance lawyers that are like
Yeah,
fourth generation, Richmond millionaires that are
Yes.
standing here with us." And that's how it is. Like, Richmond, there's everyone's chilling. It's
Cool.
really not like a hierarchy at all.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So how did contact then come about? So you guys knew each other for a while, but did you, Drew, like, did you play in other bands and stuff before?
Yeah, I did. I played in like a man, it was like a pop punk band. Probably like a lifetimey ish, movie life ish band called We Call This Courage. And we played a lot. In or whatever capacity we could. Let's see what other bands. I played in a band called Mayfair, which was like a very poppy band with some friends of mine from bands called Love and Reverie and Race the Sun. I don't that's like a name that probably doesn't pop up, but yeah, it just like segued me into uh hardcore, but I hadn't actually played in like a pure hardcore band, even though I love hardcore at my like deepest. I always kind of just played punk and pop punk and things like that. So, um, then we had Matt play a show at some point, right? Like
Oh
acoustically, like
yeah,
Wrist
I
Rocket.
forgot about that.
It's
Yeah,
like
it
a
was
Kid
yeah.
Dynamite. It's like a It's like a Kid Dynamite song, right? Like,
Yeah, it's a Kid Dynamite song, but it was like me with an acoustic guitar being real whiny.
Nice.
so, and then Matt approached me about a hardcore. He went and saw Count Me Out, which is like one of our favorite bands and a Richmond legacy band. And right, Matt, I'm
Yeah,
telling you
yeah,
this
yeah. So
story.
I saw, yeah, so loved Count Me Out. Right after I moved to Richmond, they stopped playing. I think I missed their last show by like 8 months or something like that. And so never got to see them. And they played a reunion in 2018. It was 2017 or 2018. They reunited for United Blood, but they also played like a one-off gig. And I went, and I had basically resigned myself to no more bands about a decade before, maybe like 8 years before, when my second kid was born. I was just kind of like, nothing salty or anything. I was just kind of like, I'm not gonna have time to do this.
Oh.
I, you know, the band that I was in at the time was kind of like, you seem busy, you got a lot of kids. Why don't you step back? They kind of kicked me out / asked me to quit. And I was like, you're probably right. And I was like, I think I'm done. It's fine. I'm gonna hang it up. And then I saw Count Me Out, and those guys are a couple years older than I am. And I was like, man, if these dudes aren't ready to hang it up, like, and it was just inspiring. It was one of those transcendent, like almost religious moments of like, this
Oh,
is
yeah.
so
Yeah.
amazing. And I always go into those. This was my problem with Gorilla Biscuits when they started playing again too. I was like, I don't want to see old people Gorilla Biscuits. And then I saw them and I was like, that might be better than when they were kids. That was so good.
Yeah.
Same thing with Count Me Out. And so that night I went home and wrote 2 songs, which I hadn't written a hardcore song in 10 years.
That's awesome.
And, demoed them on GarageBand and just kind of sat on them and ruminated on it. And I went through some life changes that next 12 months, job change, some other stuff. And Drew and I got reconnected when they asked me, I can't even remember why. Was it you or Kendall or who asked me? It was you. It was a fundraiser show, and you were like, hey, would you do Wrist Rocket?
Yeah,
Which was like my old pop
we were
punk
playing
band.
with Fun Size in a living room, and Fun Size, like, it was River City High guys, like, amazing band. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and then
And
House
they
and Home
just, and House
played
and
that
Home, that's
show
right.
as well.
Yeah. And they
So
just wanted me to open and play acoustic. And I was like, yeah. And I hadn't played in a while. So I said yes. And then Drew and I reconnected. And the guy who ran that house show venue is the bassist for Contact. So I met him.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know. We just kind of rekindled our friendship. And I was like, like, why not? Let's give it another go. I think I was 36 or 7 at the time. I was a little younger than Drew is now. This is 2019. And I thought, maybe I'm not done. And these guys were definitely, well, Drew had never, like you said, you'd never really gotten an honest chance to be in a hardcore band, like a proper hardcore band.
yeah.
And Camden was excited because I don't think he'd ever been in a hardcore band. And then Jordan, our drummer, had never been in a band at all.
Okay.
Yeah. I met him at church. He was like playing drums in the church band. And so we got together and practiced, and yeah, that was that.
That's cool. So you said that like Drew, like you guys reconnected when you played that like acoustic show. Drew, did you look around and be like, hey, that's the guy that made me shit my pants as a kid?
No, like, I kind of knew, Matt. Like, I mean, I've done enough shit to Matt that like I probably deserve that 3 or 4 more times. But like, I mean, I think it was cool to like pull Matt back into playing music. Um, and reluctantly, I think a bit. But it was fun to like pull him back into playing. And then, you know, we had also never played in a band together. I
Mhm.
mean, and that's the other thing that was crazy is like here we are, both love music, we love punk, we love hardcore, but we had never played music together. And so it was kind of like he and I would say write most of the music.
Yeah,
All of the
we
music.
read songs. Yeah.
Yeah, which is also fun because we both play off a couple of things that each other, influences and things like that too. So it was cool to like pull him back in and then be able to play music with him. So
Yeah.
even though he made
That's
me
awesome.
made me shit my pants on him.
I love that.
Drew, I just need you to know that Buffalo just beat the Bruins. You're fine.
Yeah,
Sorry, guys. Low-key, I've been watching playoff game while we've been
All right.
talking.
Multitasking.
Yeah, I'm multitasking.
That's why we're
I
doing it
haven't
on a
really been paying
Thursday.
attention.
That's why we're
Yeah.
doing it on Thursday,
Haven't really
not when
been-
the Stars are
Exactly.
playing. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
there you go.
yeah, there you go. Yeah, it was a strange because we were in bands at the same time. We were in bands that played together
Yes.
in the early 2000s. But yeah, that we had never been in a band together. And I had just always, I don't know if I knew this or I just supposed it. I don't know where I got the idea, besides that, like I did like some of his popular bands, but I was like, Drew can write songs. I was like, Drew's a songwriter. Like he could crank out a couple of hardcore songs. Cause just like any hardcore band, you don't have big plans. I think we still don't have big plans. You're just
Yeah.
like, could we record 5 songs and like get some people to get rowdy in somebody's living room? And I had written those 2, and then I was like, Drew could probably crank out a couple of songs real quick.
Yeah.
And
It's
it's
so funny
funny.
though, that our influences are noticeably different. Like in the
Yeah.
way that we write,
Interesting.
but they somehow can fit together, and it's very weird. Like I would say I'm much more like on the melodic youth crew side of hardcore. Matt brings in much more of like a Shai Hulud.
mm.
Like Matt is always trying to write something that is tentatively too difficult for me to try to play. I just want to play power chords. Matt's like, "Hey, what about this?" And it's like, it's like some riffy thing. I'm like, dude, I want to play youth crew. I can't play
I'm always pushing
solo.
Drew to do these like uncanny valley hardcore,
Nice.
like metal leads.
Yeah.
That rules.
So
I
how did
just-
you? I was just
Oh,
gonna
go
ask,
ahead.
like, how did you like agree on a sound or something? Was there like a conscious effort for it, or is this just what you guys could align and write together?
It's a good question. I don't know that we really ever agreed on a sound. I think the sound is Drew songs and Matt songs, and that kind of is a sound. Like,
Yeah, I don't know how it works. I mean, yeah, like that's a great question because I don't know that it has to like sonically it somehow works, but I don't know. We never really have discussed why or what our intentions are. We just kind of write songs and bring them to each other, and they're like, "Cool, yeah. What about this?" And we'll kind of like play off some things, and um, yeah, I don't know. That's a great question.
usually, like, I feel like usually one of us brings 3/4 of a song, and then the other one fits in the last piece.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know that we've ever thought of it that way, but except for the
my
great.
attention issues allow me to write about a fourth of a song, and then so
Yeah, our
you know,
ADHDs work together.
somehow to make one song.
But I know at first it was like, I feel like at first, maybe still now, but definitely at first, it was, I think we were just committed to a vibe more than like a sound.
Okay.
Like we wanted to give off the like incense burning 108, like sort of Krishna hardcore thing, and we sort of knew that was going to be disconcerting anyway. So we figured no reason to have, no reason to have a formula to the songs, because people are always already going to be slightly off put by like our lyrics and some of our vibe. It's normalized a bit now. We're not quite as theatrical, I think, as when we first started, it was a lot of theater. Drew used to call it shenanigans. He was always like, don't do the shenanigans. Because I was always trying to do some like performance art shit when we were first getting together.
Yeah. I think we found a balance. I think there's that Burn 7-inch, like the 4 songs that I think we both kind of land like.
Yeah, that's the center of our diagram. We both want to be Burn. Yeah.
Yeah, like we really just love that particular EP. But yeah, I like, my favorite record ever is Aggression by Verse. That's like one of my favorite records. So I bring that record into a lot of my writing. And then somehow we can figure out how to construct that. And I think we've influenced each other a lot over the years. So somehow, like, I think our sounds, even though they were sonically different to start, have kind of somewhat morphed into its own like thing. So I don't know. I think we've kind of found like a place where we do write in the same like room.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. You taught me that weird E standard chord, and now I can't. It's in everything. I can't not use it. What were you gonna say, Chris?
I was just gonna say, like, would you say that because you guys have been a band now for 6 years, 7 years, somewhere there?
Yeah.
Yeah, the influences you've had, would you say that you try to stay true to those from the beginning, or do you add more influences in your writing from like the first EP to the most current EP?
That's a good question. I definitely feel like the first EP was no, it's always kind of been the same. It's always very much been Burn, 108, Verse.
Yeah, like, I mean, like Half Heart.
Half Heart. Like who else? I mean, Count Me Out. It really we're dangerous. We've always been dangerously close to just sounding like Count Me Out.
Nice. So
much so that when we cover a Count Me Out song, we have to place it properly in the set so people don't notice how much it sounds like some of our songs. But yeah, it's always been that sort of like melodic, groove oriented, but also never shying away from fast parts.
That's awesome.
And leaning into that Strife. I mean, honestly, maybe it's just Strife. Now that I think about it, I don't say that because it feels like the obvious answer, but it's a lot of Strife.
Yeah, and I mean, we got the opportunity to play with like Berthold City and Raleigh. It was, I mean, that show was amazing, and I'm just sitting there like, dude, I'm like, this is Andrew from Strife. Like, this is like guitar, like from a guitar standpoint, like.
Yeah, he's gonna find out we're ripping him off.
I love all of his riffs. Like, I don't know how to like even approach this guy. But it was super cool and super good guy. So
that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely am a fan of your guys' sound, because like I especially lately have struggled with just all the like. It's funny you brought up like metalcore, right? That like metalcore was everywhere, and then everyone kind of got tired of it. And then I think you did have a good, like a good generation of hardcore that was like Berthold City and Dare and Eco Strike and Burning Strong from Florida, right? You had this like really cool kind of melodic, fast, hardcore. But now it's all back to like just straight heavy, hardcore. So like listening to you guys, like I was like, oh, this is like definitely a sound that I am a fan of right now. And you do a good job of like blending the fast and melodic parts. And it's like super well done and refined on the new EP. I'm a huge fan of it. So
that's awesome.
EP rocks.
Thanks. Appreciate you guys.
My one compliment of the night, and then we'll just
tear us down. You guys got your one.
Yeah, so let me bring out my notepad here. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
So,
and then here are my issues.
Yeah.
none. Honestly, none. It's great. Actually, my only issue is the lyrics for "A Vanishing Silence" are not on Apple Music. So
Really?
Wow.
Oh,
yeah.
I need to do that. I feel like I actually get the feedback a lot that I'm very like I can understand what you're saying. I hear that from our normal friends a lot. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like it because I can understand what you're saying, but that doesn't mean you don't need lyrics.
yeah. Well, I mean, again, I grew up in a generation where I read lyrics to songs.
yeah.
You know.
Got to
Exactly.
get the CD, brother. There's a lot of lyrics in that freaking thing. I had to place
Yeah.
them. I did the layout, and I was like, ugh, why did I write so many lyrics?
So in 10 Lamps of Fire, you do say "I am the dragon."
Yep,
Okay, that's what I
Oh,
heard
yeah.
too, and I was like,
that's it.
so we just like to be transparent, me and Trevor did like part of what we do is do episodes on like local bands, and we talk about them ourselves and just like what we think about them, and we actually did that for you guys and released it this week.
Oh,
So
nice.
I'm glad
Okay.
that you haven't listened to it yet while we interviewed you, because then you might go listen to it and be like, these guys suck and we regret it. But no, I made the joke that like I really hope that it is "I Am the Dragon,"
I
because
Am
if I
the
ever get to see you play, I'm gonna grab the mic and yell it. And I don't want you guys to be like, "This kid's an idiot."
Yeah,
That's good.
nah, man. Who doesn't want to be the dragon?
Exactly.
That's funny. The funny thing is like in the context of where I stole that line from, which is from the journals of this writer that we really like. He has a journal entry that's called "The Peace of Submerged Dragons," and so it sounds so like righteous and aggressive, but in the context of where I got it from, it's actually like about how he's being quiet and like reserved and
Oh, interesting.
meditating. It's like a meditation dragon. But I was like, and he says in the letter, "I am the dragon," and I'm like, oh man, I got to put that in a hardcore song.
Yeah.
So
I
it's
love
like
that.
this aggro song that's actually about like meditating on a mountain. It's I am
That's
the
great.
dragon.
I love that. And look, okay, I'll break my rule and I'll give you guys a second compliment. I love hearing that, because again, like we're from a generation where like lyrics mattered, right? Like people
Yeah.
lyrics came from places like this where people would read literature and it would make them think, and then they would write about it, of their thoughts and their feelings. And it wasn't just about beating ass all the time. It was like thought provoking. You mentioned Shai Hulud, right? Shai Hulud's the smart guys hardcore is what they call it, right? So
Yeah, correct.
I appreciate you saying and telling us that, like, this is from books I've read and literature, and I appreciate that. Respect. So
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Appreciate
It's
that.
it's also ass beating music. Don't worry.
it is also ass beating.
I mean, you can beat an ass if you want to.
I mean, Chris can't read, so like it's good
Yeah,
that you.
I just love that you guys just sing those words to me.
I mean, so I'm finishing up my 15th year of being an educator. So I teach English as well. So
Wow.
that means a lot from like that standpoint too, because I do value literature. I do value like words and things like that. So Matt's always had a knack for it, and I think it's kind of married to our music and things like that. So yeah, it definitely matters to this band quite a bit.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
That's awesome.
I love hearing that.
I mean, honestly, it makes it easier on me because it's like I could try to plumb something out of the like bottom of my subconscious, and it's probably going to be, is going to be some caveman stuff, or I can read something a smart person said and just restate it.
Yeah. Well,
and seem smart myself.
there's a time and place for the caveman stuff. I listen to that too.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
There's absolutely that.
I think we need more of the thought provoking stuff. And I say this all the time on the podcast. Like, I remember going to shows and like they're handing out pamphlets about veganism. They're handing out pamphlets about communism.
Totally.
I learned about all this stuff growing. And I'm from conservative Utah. I would have never learned about any of that stuff if it wasn't for the scene. And like, we just don't do it anymore,
Yeah. I can remember like one of my favorite things was honestly getting like, now with the internet, so old man yells at cloud, but now with the internet, there's such a proliferation of like all views, right? Like you can go Google whatever. And I used to love like pre-internet getting some out of pocket shit at a show. Like I can literally remember being at a show and somebody handing me like a zine, and the zine was just about, it was some kind of offshoot of like extreme vegan stuff,
Uh-huh.
but it was just a zine about how you should sterilize yourself.
So funny.
And I
Yeah.
was just like, this is insane. But I love that you just handed this to me. Like,
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
like good on you, I guess. Like, you know, go off. But like it was some like begonia psychotic,
Nice.
you know, like extreme things. But I loved it. You're just at this
Yeah.
like weird church meeting hall or this coffee shop or something, and somebody invites you to like an anarchist knitting circle where you,
Yeah.
you know, talk about making, you know, hand knitting socks and making pipe bombs or whatever. And it's just like, this is so weird. I love it. I don't
Yeah.
agree. You know, it's like not all my thing necessarily, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I always, it bums me out a little bit, or at least I'm concerned that like, because you can find all that stuff online, that it lacks a human element now.
Mhm.
Like it lacks a like sort of presence. And we play shows all the time that are great shows, like not being disparaging of anyone or anything necessarily, but like a lot of the time I'll leave a really good show that we play and just kind of be like, I wish some of the other bands had like talked about something.
Yeah.
Even something I don't agree with. Like I, you know, even if it was something I was like, you know, not that. I remember listening to Race Trader and being like, I don't know about like extreme, you know, extreme
Yeah.
Islam, but like it's cool there's a metal band about it.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, or stuff that propaganda you would say, like, I'm uncomfortable with like arming yourself to the teeth all the time. But there's some stuff that they said that I was like, yeah, that sounds
Yeah.
right. Or like
Yeah.
that rings a bell. And if nothing else, I learned a $10 word that I can use to sound smart later.
There you go.
Yeah.
You know,
And,
by listening.
I think
to that
it's
stuff.
cool. Like, what's cool about that is, you know, this record being put out by Life Sentence Records is like, there is that. There's this like we have like vegan straight edge bands
Yeah.
on this record label that, you know, even though like we are not like, even though we've been straight edge for how long, Matt, 25 years,
25 years. Yeah.
20, like there is this like message in the music. It's awesome. I don't know. I
Yeah.
feel like
Yeah.
we're in the right spot, even though like it was kind of unexpected. I feel like it's a good fit for us.
Cool. I mean, I appreciate everything you guys have said. And like, this must be, I mean, we are old guys, right? Like this is old man yells at cloud stuff, but I think it's important too. Cause you know, I look at the rest of society and a lot of things that like I try to teach my kids. Like, obviously, you know, we were joking about social media before this, but like our generation grew up with all the crap of social media, right? Like we knew what it was like to not have it, and now we know what it's like to have it and all the problems. And like I am teaching my kid what I have learned, and like the hardcore does need old guys in there to teach kids.
Absolutely.
They need a space too, right? Like they need a space to be able to come and talk and ask questions and learn, and because you're just not going to get that in a lot of other places. So,
and vice versa for us. Like there's young hardcore bands in Richmond right now that are absolutely just like killing, like Lose Sight and I mean, what are some other ones, Matt? That I'm like drawing a blank, but like,
well, they're not from Richmond, but Spike
Pit
Pit from Virginia Beach is unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, like it's just like, I mean, Dimension 6, like all these bands from Richmond that like I feel like we have so much we can learn from.
Yeah.
And just kind of have a shared space, you know. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool to see hardcore do something. I hope that, like Matt said, like there's a space for that message and for people to feel okay and safe to kind of voice opinions on.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think that if anything, it could be a space where people can learn to disagree again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I think there's some boundaries, right? Like you can't be bringing your like white supremacist band to our show or whatever. But at the same time, I think like we've played shows where we have a song that's kind of like a, you know, anti-gun or like sort of gun control type deal, and another band's gotten up and been like, well, I think it's necessarily, you know, I heard what that first band said, but I just want to say that I think it's necessary that we arm ourselves for XYZ reasons. Cool.
Yeah.
Like I love that. Let me like, I'll mosh for your song about, you know, whatever, arming yourself and, you know, hating Christians or whatever, and you can mosh to my song about not liking guns and meditating or like whatever.
Yeah.
Like I think there's room for that within reason.
Sure, absolutely.
But those boundaries have always been there. Like
Yeah.
hardcore crews existed just to beat up Nazis and get them out. Like
Yeah.
there's always been boundaries, and I think we can always keep those, but also learn maybe to disagree again and it not be a big.
The disagreeing one's funny because like I can't remember who I was talking to, but I was talking about like, do you remember back in the day, like we didn't have Google, like you legitimately had to bullshit your way through an argument, right? Like it was, like you couldn't just be like, hey, I'll look this up. I was like, no, exactly. I got to convince you that I'm right because you don't know any better, and I don't either. But I'm going to make you believe that.
Yeah,
but
that means you have to be convicted about something too, right? Like you have to be convicted about some belief and like really believe that, right? Like you can't have fragile belief, right? And I hope that is, straight edge and hardcore and things like that. But I also hope like they stand for humans, like for people, right? Like we have all types of people coming to our shows, whether it's from the trans community or from different religious backgrounds. And I want it to be that, right? Like that is a healthy scene. So, I mean, I just hope that people feel they can be convicted as well in what they believe.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
And safe.
Sure.
To do that. Yeah.
Unless you're the white supremacist band.
Unless you're not your white supremacist.
Then you're not.
Yeah,
then you're not safe.
You can just take
It's going to be all of us versus the robots soon anyway. So soon we're going to be doing what do they call it in Blade Runner? We're going to be doing the test or whatever to people at shows to make sure there's no androids, no sense at the shows.
No clankers. Isn't that what they're calling
clankers? Clankers. Just shine the light in their eyes to see if they reflect.
Yeah, that's right.
So I did want to ask about, like, you brought up Life Sentence Records. I also want to talk about your new EP. So what came first, the EP or Life Sentence Records?
EP came first.
EP came first. Okay. So how was that process? How was writing the EP?
How did we write that? That thing, I feel like it came out of nowhere.
It came out of, I mean, I would like hum songs in my car and then brought a couple in and write them on my acoustic at home. And then Matt had a couple that he would bring. And then I was, Dave Alkin is who we recorded with. And he plays in a band called Love Letter. But I had heard some of his stuff and I was like, guys, we got to record with this guy, Dave. Like we just have to make this record with Dave. And I reached out to him and he was super cool and he's Big Papa Dave now.
Big Papa Dave.
And it's just, that experience was amazing, I think, for us. I think we were able to kind of freely try things and make that sound the way we wanted to. But the record kind of just came together pretty naturally, I think.
Well, I feel like you wrote 3 songs, and we took a song from our first demo, which was actually the second song that I ever wrote for the band that night that I saw. So one of the songs on this EP is one of the songs that I wrote the night that I saw Count Me Out.
Songs, yeah.
Wow.
Cool.
Yeah. And it just never really got a proper treatment. And then, we had 4 songs and we were like, whatever, we could do like a digital release. We don't have to, or we could wait and do a full length. I'm weirdly anti full length. I don't love full lengths for hardcore bands. Like I could, even my favorite hardcore albums, I'm like, it could have been 2 EPs.
I don't know. I feel a little different. I feel like that's where we're headed. I think
we're headed for, all right, well, go off, King. And then, so we had 4 songs and I was like, we got to have a 5th song. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to write a song. I get myself all jacked up where like Drew has this more natural to organic songwriting ability. I won't write a song for years and then we'll just shake it out. Like, okay, I got to write a song and I'll literally sit down and write a song. And so that ended up being 115. We recorded with Dave, which was unbelievable. And then we played that show with Berthold. It was like us, Berthold City, Time Heist,
Oh, nice.
Based, and
Squint.
Squint. It was like all of our favorite bands,
Sick.
basically.
Rules.
And we had done, were we done with no, and then we did the EP after we played that show. And we were trying to figure out what to do with it. And we reached out to Andrew from Berthold and Strife. And we were like, hey, would War be into this? And we'd reached out to a couple of other labels, and a couple of them got back to us in a more sort of tertiary, like, hey, thanks for this, but like we don't really have room on the schedule or whatever. Andrew was like a little more talkative. He was very upfront. He's like, I don't have room for this year on War, but you should reach out to my friend Dan. He was at the show that you guys played with us, and he's trying to start his label back up. And so that was Dan. And so we reached out to him and sent him the record, and he, really had to consider it because we don't necessarily fit. We kind of joke that we're an 80s straight edge band, meaning we have one non-straight edge member. But we're not trying to front, like we don't have X's on our stuff, though we should. And we're not vegan and not metal, I mean, Life Sentence, really Excessive Force, and that whole, is very metal. And so he really, like, it was actually probably one of the more flattering things I've ever experienced, was to have somebody labor over, not just give a quick, yeah, this rocks, or no, this isn't my thing. He really wrestled with it and asked a bunch of good questions, and then eventually was like, yeah, let's just do it. It's a little outside of my wheelhouse as far as the sound and the vibe, but like, let's go. And it's been great ever since. He's
cool.
He's great. We text so much that my daughter has started calling him Dan the Record Man. Because every time she sees me texting on my phone, she's like, is that Dan? And I was like, and most of the time the answer is, yeah, it's Dan. And so it's been great. We haven't gotten to hang.
We got to play with Destroy Babylon too, and
that's right.
Too, which was super cool because those guys are from Italy, and then they're putting out on Life Sentence.
Oh yeah, they got signed right after us. Yeah,
I think the crazy part about that too is, like, I mean, Excessive Force, like that full-length record rocks. I mean,
crazy
too. Like, I mean, if you listen to like even the recording quality for like that time, like,
what was it, 95, 96?
Yeah, like
95,
like
rips.
That record rocks.
Yeah.
And then, the Keep Smoking, I Want You to Die, like, was like,
it's iconic.
That's a legendary shirt. I mean, so like, this stuff's like, it's just been cool. It's just been a cool thing. It's been a cool process. And like, I don't know. I'm extremely grateful to just be a part of it and be a part of the story, to be honest.
And then they just signed Cast Down too. They just, which is our guy Aaron, from Ohio.
Ohio.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. And they rip. So yeah, it was cool. It was like a cool process and not a bad story. And we're super happy. And then of course Dan was like, if we're going to do a tape and a CD, there's tons of room on both of those formats. And he was like, do you have the recordings of your past releases? I was like, yeah, let's just put it all on there. So the CD and the tape, actually, it says like a Vanishing Silence, and there's like a track list, and then there's like a bonus track list, and the bonus tracks are just every song we've ever recorded.
That rules. I love that.
Yeah. So like on the tape, side A is the EP, and side B is everything else we've ever done.
I gotta get this tape.
What a great idea!
I gotta get this tape. Yeah,
it's a discography essentially, but just marketed as a new EP.
Love that.
That's cool though. Yeah, Dan was nice enough to talk to us, and when we asked him about bringing Life Sentence back and stuff, he was very, like, you get the feeling that it means a lot to him too, and that he's genuinely trying to do the right things the right way. And I mean, he's just, all the bands that he's gotten to sign on, you're just like, incredible, perfect. That's exactly what I expected, And so it was really cool to see you guys on there too. And you're right, like, I guess I didn't really think about it because I'm used to like all these hardcore labels that have a multitude of sounds on it anyways, right? And I guess I didn't really realize how different you guys are sonically from a lot of those bands, but hey, that's cool.
That's
And I think
awesome.
that speaks a lot to Dan as well, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. It was big of him to like take a chance on us. I think his wife like really likes Contact too.
Okay.
So she was like kind of pushing for us. We found out later, which was awesome.
That's cool.
So yeah, we're excited. And we like that. Like we would always rather, like if we got put on a show with, I don't know, who are the new, if we got put on a show with like Face the Pain and start today, we'd be excited. But there's a special kind of fun to being the like hardcore band on a lineup of like more metal stuff.
Totally.
I actually think that's fun, and I think it's refreshing. Like especially nowadays, people are down for whatever. Kids are down for what they're just like want to get out and like jump around.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And I think when you have a more like not standard, but if there's 5 bands and 4 of them are drawing from the same influences, and then there's us, it's not it's nice. It's like an intermission or something. People are like, oh, this is cool. This is like punk, you know?
Yeah.
The amount of times that we get the Have Heart comparison is flattering, but also we're like, I don't know, man. Like that's kind of like telling somebody they sound like the Smiths or something. It's like, I don't know. I don't think you actually can sound like Have Heart. But I think it's just because we're the hardcore band that they've seen, you know?
Of course.
Yeah. That's cool. So I don't want to keep you guys all night. Chris, I don't know. I've just like 1 or 2 more questions, but Chris, I've been talking a lot, so I don't know if you have anything else. If not, I can just kind of.
No, go for it. My only question is, you guys put some extra sauce into the song No Allegiance. Where did that sauce come from? Because that song is incredible. That's all.
You know,
No Allegiance like rocked me. Grabbed me by the ankles and spun me around.
Yeah. We've just played that song. I mean, because it was one of the first 3 songs we ever wrote.
Yeah.
So we've played that song the whole time we've been a band. So first off, we just have a lot of reps in that song.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. Like I think all of my ire for it, you know, I've talked to a lot of people about this. We don't bill ourselves. I think it's actually kind of stupid to call yourself a Christian band, but we can get into that another time. We don't bill ourselves that way, but like, however pissed off people get about seeing Donald Trump hold a Bible up to justify something, like however pissed off my atheist friend is about that, I'm 10 times more pissed off about that aspect of it, because it's a misrepresentation thing. It's like it's a blasphemy. Like we don't use that word. You know, we use it, that word is not used in a negative context anymore. I feel like religious people kind of don't use it. Maybe other more Eastern religions use it more often, but mostly it's like a comment. It's like Slayer is blasphemous. It rocks, you know, like it's, but the deep like offense that even one of my friends that's not that's an atheist, total atheist, atheist humanist, can't imagine the deep offense of like, here's the thing that you say stands for equality and inclusion and justice and peace and love, and I'm just going to use it to be a fascist.
Right.
And it's one thing to see that in history, and that's infuriating too, but to see it happen now is like, I am deeply angry about that on every conceivable level. And I also was like, I don't want every song every song we ever write could be about this one topic. And but I don't want that. And so it's all going into this one song. You can hear it in other songs for sure. Like I definitely touch on it. It's kind of like it's the Rage Against the Machine thing where like the songs are about a lot of different things, but they're kind of all about one thing. But this song is like, I don't know that we'll ever write a song more directly, just like, Christo-fascism and like Christian nationalism is garbage. It's just dross. Just throw it away. There's no good thing about it. And here's what we think about it.
Love it. It's great.
It is great. Yeah. And agreed. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, well, the last thing I wanted to ask was what do you guys have the rest of the year? You know, what's coming up? What's next?
Drew, what do we
If
got? I'll
there's
be right
stuff
back.
you can share.
That full length.
We are going to go down to South Carolina and play with Forever War.
Okay.
Cool.
Liberate and a couple other bands on that. We're going down to North Carolina to play with a straight edge band called Abide, who just released, and they're gonna rock. I'm already looking forward to it because they've already said they're going to do a First Step cover, which is a favorite of mine. We were supposed to go down and play with our buddies in Fading Signal, but unfortunately they disbanded just within the week, which was
is the worst thing that's ever happened to me.
Yeah, like we're like
I literally
trying to like hold it together here, but yeah, that record that they released last year was a classic. It's like an instant classic. I don't really know. And we've met a few of them just playing in North Carolina and things like that, but we were stoked to finally play with them. And sad to hear them go, but understanding of some of the reasoning. So, and then we've got a few more shows in Raleigh, North Carolina. We've got several shows over the summer. So Matt,
essentially between now and June, we have more shows than we've had in the past 12 months.
Wow.
Well,
it's going to be busy.
Record and writing. I mean, yeah, but yes, we are playing a lot of shows in the upcoming months, and we just played. We played Monday with Locked.
We played Monday with Locked Shut,
which is so cool. Yeah, very cool. Dogpile, and
which is wild and Dogpile. Yeah,
and our friends Eternal Fixation from the beach. So we're gonna go to play down to the beach. Virginia Beach is our beach in Norfolk. Which I have a lot of hardcore going on down there too. I mean,
cool.
Our buddies in Mean Jesus are down there.
Mean Jesus is sweet.
Yeah, they rock. And just some young hardcore bands popping up down there. That are super cool. So, that's pretty. I mean, just kind of looking for opportunities to play shows. We'll travel out a little bit. We've got some shows. We were looking to go up north. Salt Lake City's not on the agenda. It'll be awesome.
All right, look.
Someday.
I don't know. With the Dan Connect, maybe we will go on Salt Lake City.
Yeah, I'd love to.
I actually don't live in Salt Lake anymore. I'm down in Dallas. So come do a Texas run. You know, you can hit like 3 or 4 cities.
Yeah, we could tour with Compulsion. It would be like the two opposite ends of the hardcore spectrum.
But it's super cool because that dude's in one of our group chat that we have. We have like a straight edge group chat run out. So
yeah, the singer of that band.
They just dropped stuff, right? Wasn't it like?
Yeah, they just. I mean, it's like today or yesterday.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's gnarly. It's violence.
It's awesome, and Drew Blood is a very angry man.
Yep. And our best good
dude you've
friend.
Ever met.
Yeah, the sweetest person in the world.
The kindest would do literally drive from Austin to here if you ever need to.
Wow,
but
that's awesome.
Just shows. Just looking for opportunities to play shows. I mean,
cool.
We've got this record. We want to get it in as many hands of people as we can and play with any bands we can that are cool.
Yep.
Nice. Awesome.
Yep. So Chris, I saw your Wonder Years banner in your room. My wife does this thing where she'll take old shirts, mostly ones that I'm too fat to wear anymore, and make quilts out of them.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So you got to see this. Hold on. There's this Wonder Years. Let me see. Can you see that shirt?
Oh my gosh. Yes, dude.
It's from like when they were still a joke band.
Yeah. That's
I saw them.
Ancient.
Yeah. I saw that. I probably could have sold this thing. For the listeners, this is a Wonder Years. That's right. Your favorite band who's mostly about being sad and living in the Midwest. This is a Wonder Years shirt that depicts Teddy Roosevelt riding a grizzly bear, going to war against a bunch of gummy bears.
bring back that kind of merch.
I think it's
I mean,
historically accurate too, but I wasn't
historically
there,
accurate.
so.
Yeah.
That's the turn. That's the, you know how like Poison the Wells back together and all the turn I want is like one more Wonder Years album that's about doing like mosh exercises
That's like,
and
that's
about
like
the
about being
Kool-Aid
funny.
Man.
Yeah, Captain
like
Crunch.
cheating
Crunch.
on,
Captain
He's
having
too
Crunch,
sex with
serious
Captain
now,
Crunch or
man. I
whatever.
don't know.
Yeah.
He's too serious now.
Bring back the
yeah.
old stuff.
Seriously.
Yeah.
That's
Cool.
fun.
But
I love that.
also, I'd like to point out that I've never been on a podcast with Matt that he hasn't mentioned Slayer. So I hope we can keep this
Okay.
thing when we're on a
I'm from
podcast
Central
that
Florida.
Matt brings up
Yeah.
Slayer.
Yeah.
What do you
You
want me
got
to
it.
do,
Like
bro?
the average American thinks about Slayer at least once a day. So I think it's like,
It's
Yeah.
not all.
Yeah.
It's not all.
My heavenly body after I die is going to be wearing like a Fox a Fox motocross shirt and like a flat brim Monster Energy hat.
Those jeans are like bejeweled a little bit.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
totally.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
know what you're talking about.
That's just what it is.
On a
That's
one
what it
wheel.
Oh.
Like metal, bro.
I just, as long as we don't talk, look, the one thing I'll take from that like culture, white monsters, man, every day,
You love
Really
it.
good.
every day, all day. Yeah. My name is
Dude.
Kyle, and white monsters. We're
So
just
you
like,
have to.
yeah, it's like
Gotta-
part of, yeah, you know, it's
Yeah.
part of the lore.
You got it. One day you'll grow up and drink Celsius like the rest of us.
I do like Celsius though. The grape one's real good.
Drew, do you want to talk about your drug of choice?
Oh yeah. Rain energy drink. It's the white gummy bear.
I mess with Rain.
We used to share practice space with a band called House and Home. And they like worked for some company, I don't know, and they would just have boxes of Rain. And so we would just like, it'd be like 11 at night on a school night. Like I'm a teacher, so it's a school night. And I'm just chugging like a Rain energy drink. So it's just, and I finally had my first one in a long time on Monday night before a show. And Matt was unhappy with me because I get a little jittery when I have that. So.
Dude, there is a video somewhere of us playing in a warehouse, and all four of us had clearly drank Rain right before we hit the stage.
Yeah.
And we sound like a grindcore band.
Yeah.
And I just
Like,
kicked the
fast-forward
mic
like that.
across the.
Yeah, oh yeah, he kicked the mic stand across the warehouse. I almost had
Oh
a
my
coronary.
Yeah.
And Drew was playing everything, Jordan was playing everything 10 times faster.
Incredible.
It was not good.
Yeah. Brought to
We
you by
don't-
Rain.
Yeah,
We don't mess
Pepsi
with
Boy.
energy drinks though, you know, because me and Chris and Trevor went to Flyover Fest, and Chris almost brought me the wrong flavored energy drink, and I was like, "Don't you dare! Don't you dare
dare
bring
you.
that crap."
I'm
in."
sorry for being considerate, Kyle.
White monster all day.
Exactly.
Yeah, literally. My bad.
So funny,
Yeah.
man.
Well, thank you guys. I'm glad we made this happen. Great dudes, great music. I really appreciate you guys jumping on.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, you guys are awesome.
Yeah. Thanks
Seriously,
for
anytime. Anytime. So we should get you guys back on, and then we'll just dunk on Kendall the entire time.
that'd
I'm fully here. Let's have him on too. It could be like a roast.
I'm down.
Oh, there you go.
But
Oh,
don't
hey,
tell
let's
him
do it.
we're gonna be on. Just
Yeah,
tell him we're gonna be here, and we'll just be here.
like a
Yeah.
I'll
punk
have my
situation.
headphones.
A
That
punk
time, right? I'll be like,
situation.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
cut this part out so he doesn't hear it. I think we should actually do
Yeah.
it. So.
well, hey,
surprise.
bleep it out so he doesn't
Bleep
even
it?
know it's
Okay.
him. Just
Oh,
bleep
there
it.
you go.
Ah, good idea. Good idea. So cool. Well, all right, guys. Thank you. And you guys are welcome back anytime. So,
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks,
You guys
y'all.
have a good night.
Thanks, guys.
all right. How do I stop?